Hello, everybody. Hello, hello. I'm checking. I'm having some technical difficulties, so hopefully you guys can see me okay. And everything is going to be good. There we go. All right. This is one of the first and probably the start of doing some live YouTubes for beginners, mainly for beginners. And so it's basically a question and answer time for anything that you may have, a project that you might have, or a technique that you're trying to learn, or just some general questions about leather. I do a lot of saddle and tack repairs and restoration. So that's something that I work with a lot, a lot, a lot. So we'll be on here for about an hour. This is a trial today, and then I will be doing this again in the weekday on January 30th. There was a little confusion because I want to be able to give everybody an opportunity to learn. I love to teach, so that's what I love to do. And I'll share some today. I think what we'll do, unless there are questions, is because this is going to be recorded and played back, you can play it back. So I'm going to just give you some general information from like my YouTube videos that I have for beginners. And if it's about saddles or tack or just a leather project that you're working on, or how do you get started, what tools, what are the different kinds of leathers, those kind of things I'll talk about. And basically, we'll go through some of that. So the students that I have are beginners, and it is something that they just have a passion for, and they want to learn how to do a project, or they want to do something for their family, or maybe they've got a horse that they want to make something for, or even just dress up, maybe with some tooling or stamping or carving or whatever that is. So that was the idea of having a question and answer time for you guys. So yes, this is today, and it is on January 30th as well, because I had posted January 30th and December 30th. So come back on, on January 30th again, and that we'll see how that goes as well. So I'll give you a little background of how I got into leather, and most of us get into leather. The first thing I am going to say is that each leather artisan is different. Their styles are different. Their way that they do techniques are different. There is no right or what wrong way. It's just how we actually learn. A lot of us, I'm not going to say my age, but a lot of us back in the day, we taught ourselves, or we had actually leather in school, high school usually. So a lot of this is self-taught. A lot of it is through training. For me, in my background, I actually had two mentors, and bless their hearts, they're passed away now. And that's why I am trying to teach leather, because I want to make sure that people not only learn leather, but help teach as well, because our artisans are either passing away, they're retiring, or they're moving, and they don't want to teach or do that. So that's my goal for 2024, is to teach others, to help you grow so that you can help others in the interim, be a conduit, that kind of a thing. But a lot of the artisans out there are self-taught, or we've had a mentor that's passed away, but that mentor learned from somewhere. For example, one of my leather mentors, he was in the military, and he took a lot of his tools from the military. He was, I think, an automotive or airplane mechanic, and he took that away with him. Some of those tools. Tools can be used very, very easily. You have probably a lot of them in your shops, and you can actually use a lot of what's in your hardware. And like you can use a drill, a hammer, and all those kind of things. So um, again, every artisan is different. There is no right or wrong way. There are just different ways and techniques, and you find out which way works best for you. All right. So I started out way back in the 70s. And I just played around with belts and things of that nature. And then also, too, we went into doing more creative things and then tooling and stamping and all that kind of stuff. So that's how I started way back in the 70s. I learned through high school. Then I wanted to learn more. So I got myself some mentors and I did pay hourly. Some mentors will pay hourly. Some of them you can go for like a month and they'll, you pay for that kind of a thing there. So starting out, you can start out as low budget as you want, and you can also go as high budget as you want. So I personally, being who I am and frugal and a single mom and not having the funds to get all the expensive tools, I actually would find ways that I could substitute. So you'll see in my videos how I substitute um, a lot of different tools. Okay. And I think it's important. So, like, for example, if you don't have a round knife, you can actually use a box knife. Okay. Because round knives are a little bit more expensive. And when you build up your budget to get a round knife or a head knife, then you can do that. A lot of the times you can use just a drill to do your holes if you don't have the hole punches. But there's another thing that you can build up. I would say if you're starting out, just get a rotary punch to start out with. Although those can get you a long way, that kind of a thing. And you can gradually build up to a set of hole punches. And I'm going to bring this up. So some of you have watched my video. I can't even remember what video it was, but I keep getting comments about it. So I didn't have my wood block, or I didn't have my punch board right. What do you call that? I didn't have it available right there. And I have a lot of tools. I have a lot of punches, guys. I have a lot of them. And I know how to sharpen my punches. I do know how to take care of my punches and everything. However, this particular video, I did use probably a steel anvil or something, and I punched it, and I am getting so much feedback on it. Thank you. I appreciate it, because you know what? It will damage or dull a punch really quickly, but in a pinch, it's not going to hurt it just once, unless you're really slamming down on that thing. Plus, if you know how to sharpen your tools, that's the whole idea of it. However, do you want to use a punch board or a piece of wood? You could use wood. Wood will dull it also a little bit quicker. But my mentor made me this beautiful. I still use this for everything. So, and again, I will use it for punching because I know how to sharpen my tools. All right. Again, I have so many. People give me tools and all that kind of stuff too. So, what else? I would love for you in the comments to tell me what you would like to know, even if you're watching this recorded. What would you like to know? What do you need to know? Put it in the comments below, and let me know. And if this is helpful, if this video is helpful, then please go ahead and like or subscribe to my channel, because I will be doing I do videos every month. However, these live ones will come in, and I will be, for subscribers, be doing little raffles through 2024 each month and getting a free tool or free supply of some sorts. Okay. So what I'm going to talk about right now is, if you're a beginner, there is, again, so many YouTubes out there that you can go watch, how to, what do you call that? How to stitch, how to do a saddle stitch, how to do all different kinds of stitching. You can find anything on YouTube. So, and you find the leather artisan that you like to do. I've just been watching a lot about airbrush painting and dyeing. It's very, very interesting, right? So I keep myself learning as well, so we can just better our skills and hone in our skills, and maybe something new will come up that you really, really like. But when you're just starting out, there are some books there that you might want to pick up, because sometimes you don't want to be on YouTube. And sometimes having something in hand where you can readily look back and forth is really, really helpful. And it's good to have them in your library. So One of the books, Tandy actually puts this little guy out. Well, let's talk about these other ones first, because you're going to want to learn how to stitch any kind of stitching, because sometimes there's an invisible stitch, there's a baseball stitch, there's a saddle stitch, and they're called very different things. But this is one of the books that I get, and it's Al Stolman. You can get these on my website or at Tandy or wherever. I try to sell them at the same price or a little bit lower, because I know you're trying to save money. So, but this is hand stitching, and this will go through a whole bunch of different ways to stitch. It'll tell you what tools you need, and everything. Like this one here is a box stitch, different things. Really, really, really handy. It also tells you how to sharpen, preparing your leather to sew it, the tools and materials you need, and how to actually measure your thread. Now, I don't know how many times people start out with projects and the thread's not long enough. And so then they have to end it and start all over again. And maybe you just got this much left to go. It sucks, right? So, or a thread breaks, and how do you finish that? Really good book for hand sewing. Really, really good. The other one I wished I would have had from very, very beginning. This one here is about all the different tools, how to use them, and how to sharpen them, for that one little or couple little people that say, you know what, that's a good way to ruin your tools. Yeah. Anyway, when you want to buy my tools, I don't know what I said. Anyway, so this is another one. This is what I give to my students. I also give this one to my students, depending on what class they're in. This is where they can take home and they can know how to better take care of their tools. This also goes through snaps. It also has some patterns in it. It goes through sharpening, how to use them. Phenomenal, phenomenal book. Okay. And this one here is Al Stolman. If you don't know who Al Stolman is, everybody's like, who's Al Stolman? Al Stolman actually has been around, oh my gosh, I don't even know. That's, I think the 60s, maybe late 60s. But he did a lot of saddle and leather work. And he's actually one of the first ones that started writing books and producing books. There's actually a series on, if you want to make your own saddle, then there is a complete series. I think it's 3. I've got 2 of them. I think I just didn't finish get the third one because it was so expensive at the time. But there's 3 books. I think there's 3 series that to make a saddle. That is almost a must. It's really wonderful. It tells you how to do everything. Again, though, these are old. These are things that you want to have in hand. But YouTube is still probably the best tool if you are a very visual person. Best tool to go on and look. Another book I picked up is Leather Burning. So a lot of people like to stamp. A lot of people like to tool, that kind of a thing. But you can also burn leather, and you can do all kinds of, ideas. Now I know that we have laser engravers that you can actually burn leather with. I just purchased one of those for fun to see how it works and how to do it. That is a really good thing, but it is not your hands. A lot of people want that hand work, that hand stitching, that hand lacing. They want to see that beautiful artistry work from the leather. So it's great to have. I actually was sort of disappointed when I found out that some of these that are so beautifully done on wood and leather are from a laser engraver. I was like, dang, that's sort of let down, because I thought somebody was actually doing it by hand, but they're not. So if you're interested in burning, that's a really good one as well. As you're starting out, there's all kinds of books out there. If you want to learn how to braid your own saddle, tack equipment, that kind of thing, there's all those books out there. If you're starting out, I would suggest this is a magazine. And this comes, I think, bi-monthly. Yeah, it comes bi-monthly, and you pay for a year subscription. But this is a super, super good resource magazine. It not only gives you, this is the Leather Crafters Journal. So if you are beginning or intermediate or advanced and you need some resources, some ideas, but they also have companies in there, that kind of a thing. This one here has the, for what do you call it? Cosplay, role play kind of thing. This is a samurai sword, the armor. It's not just a saddler's journal. This is a leather artisan journal, and it'll give you tips and things on machines, on patterns, and they'll always come with a pattern of some type. So it's a really fun thing to have in your arsenal. All right. So that's sort of some books and things that you could do for starting out. The other thing I can talk about is the different types of leather. I won't go into a full video session, but as a beginner, you really need to learn the different types of leather, how to use them. Again, I do workshops. I'm in Oregon, so I do workshops in person, but I try to do videos on these, and I haven't done one of the leather weights, but I think that might be a good one for you because it's really, really important to know what is coming up as far as what projects and things like that. Because students will buy the wrong leather thickness and then they're like, what do I do with it? That's how I get a lot of my scraps. So let's talk a little bit about leather thicknesses. So there's different gauges that you can get. You can get them through Tandy, Weaver. You can get them, I think, on Amazon. They're a little bit cheaper. They can range from $15 to $60, $70, depending on your budget. Again, you don't have to spend a lot of money. A lot of these are made overseas, but they just put a Weaver brand or a Tandy brand or anything on them so that they can sell them through them. It's licensing, basically licensing. If you want to know how to start a business, let me know. I'll tell you all about it. But this here is a little cheapo gauge from Craft Tool, Tandy. Craft Tool is owned by Tandy, by the way. And Osborne is another tool company that you can get. Osborne, if you're going to get tools and you can afford Osborne, I would suggest to get Osborne tools. They're one of the top of the line tools. They're very good quality. They last really well, and they'll be around for a long, 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 long time. Craft Tools is Tandy, that's now bought by Tandy. And that is a company that has been around again. So you're going to hear Craft Tool or Osborne quite a bit. Be really mindful if you're buying leather or tools or anything online. You can always ask me questions, make a comment on any of my videos. Hey, I answer all comments myself. So if you have any questions about any leathers, tools, anything like that, please don't hesitate to send a comment or a message to me or anything of that nature. I just don't want you to waste money. Okay. But this is a really handy little tool. It's a cheapy little tool. It's one that I can just use really, really quick. I don't have to pull out my other gauge. It's just where you would slide the leather in. I'm going to show you some different leathers. So basically what you would do, so these are all veg tan. There's different kinds of tanning. There's chrome tan, veg tan, that kind of a thing. But these are all veg tan. And so what you're going to do is you're just going to take and slide you're going to take it, and you can do it this way or whatever, but you just slide it in there. Okay. And then that's going to give you an ounce. So this is 8 ounce. Okay. This is 8 ounce. And you can cram it down there, but then you're not getting, you just got to set it in there. Okay. This one here is really super thin and it probably won't even register. Yeah. So this is actually less than a 2 ounce. So this would be like a pig's skin that you would put on a lining. So if you can see, it's really, really thin, bends really easy. It's great for a lining. These are not dyed, so you can dye them any color, or you can airbrush them, or you can do whatever you want, or just put an oil on them and darken them up a little bit, and they're beautiful that way. But then these are a little bit thicker, as you can see. Okay, and then they go to this thickness here. It's really thick. This is what you're going to be using more on saddles or heavy harness or things of that nature. Okay, and those kind of hides, I use a lot. You can buy them again. You take a class or go and look at some of the charts, and you can see how to buy a hide or how to buy hides. You can buy them by just the belly, those things, or you can buy by a double shoulder. You can buy a half a hide. You can buy a whole hide. Just depending on what your project is. Okay, this here is Latigo. This is dyed, and this has actually got a sheen. Do you see that? You would not be able to really add any more color to it. It's got a finish on it. They use this a lot for, they call it Latigo. They use it for cinch, holding the Western saddle, the cinch on, and usually a thicker one. This is a 6 and 7 ounce, so probably more of a 6 or 7. But this is veg tan. Chrome tan, if you want to do laser engraving on leather, do not use chrome tan. Do not. That's a big, huge red flag. I wish I could just go boom, boom. Do not. It'll ruin your laser because it's chrome. The processing will ruin your laser. So you want to use veg tan on your lasers. Okay. That's just a tip for if you get into that. Then we have all different kinds of, I used to do airplane seat covers and all kinds of stuff. But if you're looking to do some chaps or you're looking to do something of that nature, we've got all different kinds of hides that you can do. So these are each, you can ask the suppliers for samples. You can say, do you have a sample ring or do you have anything for samples? And this one here, I do a lot of motorcycle repairs and motorcycle chaps and zippers and all that kind of stuff. So I asked for a bunch of motorcycle leather that they would have. Also, too, if I have a motorcyclist that wants me to make something for them, then I have a nice little array of what I can buy. And then I just call them up and say, how much is that going to cost me? And they tell me and ship it, and that's great. But this here is suede. Okay. Suede is a rough out. You'll hear suede as being a rough out. You'll hear it being called a couple other different names. But suede can come in any color. It can come in different thicknesses. So this suede, this rough out, is actually thinner. I don't think you can see it, but it is thinner than the red. And it just depends on how light. So for example, if you're making some chaps or you're making something that is going to be a large piece, maybe it's a bag, maybe it's a big tote bag, but you want it lighter. So you would try to find a lighter thing, a lighter suede. So that's a different thing about leathers too. You get smooth and rough out. So the hide, the rough side is the underside that you usually put inside something, like you would put the nice, beautiful, soft side out on the outside of a bag. And then that would be, the rough out would be the inside of the bag. Now, but maybe you want to design where the rough out shows. So you might have a beautiful smooth design and maybe you're going to do some filigree and cut out and put the rough out so that it shows with a different color. There's all kinds of things that you can do with leather, all kinds of things that you can do. So definitely look into knowing your leathers, knowing your thicknesses, knowing what your project is. Your sheaths, like knife sheaths and things, you're not going to use a 8-ounce leather, 6, 7, 8-ounce leather. You're going to use something maybe 3 or 4-ounce leather, depending on if it's a small knife sheath, if it's a tiny one, if it's a big one. There's other things to do with that as well. So definitely work with that. I'm just sort of looking at, I don't even know what time it is. It's 27. Okay, so that's a little bit about leather. So if you have any questions about leather or comments, please go ahead and make the comment below. And definitely, I would love to know even where you're from and what made you pop on my channel, or what country you're in, that kind of a thing. So yeah, so we talked about that. Now let's talk a little bit about tools. And it's like, what tools do I need? There is a video I did on the top 10 tools However, it's again depends on what kind of project that you're doing. So I did that top 10 and I do sell like a package, but that's mainly for repairing, making belts, things that you're going to do of a little heavier leather, or you're going to do repairs, that kind of nature. So what kind of tools do you want and need? A lot of the times I will find things around the house, like for my dyes and things, I'll just find some old plastic tubs and I'll do those and I'll reuse those. You know, maybe I had some paint brushes that I used from painting, I'll use those, things of that nature. I'll use little yogurt. I know this is going to sound funny, but I need to put just my little things in. I'll put a little yogurt thing like that. You can make your workshop however you want to make it. It's your workshop. Okay. There's a couple standard things that you do need to have, no matter if you're hand stitching, no matter if you're going to be using hole punches, rivets, that kind of thing. Um, Definitely, you just need a couple of things. And that's where you should put your money. Basically, like, again, you definitely need a good rotary hole punch. You can go on my website and see the one that I have there. I don't put junk on my website. Yes, I can get the cheaper stuff, but it's going to break or you're not going to be happy with it. So I'm not going to put it on my website. So, for example, do need a rotary punch. That is a really good thing to have. And I don't have one sitting here. I just put it away. Um, but if there's somebody on and they want to see it, they can, or just go ahead and Google it. The other thing you do is you want to have some awls. Awls are really, really important. You can use these for multiple things. So an awl is for scratching. You can use it for scratching and marking. You can also make a hole. You can make your stitching holes wider. You can do a lot of things. I use this one a lot. It's now starting to get a little bit bent, but it's just because I poke a lot. This is years. I mean, I probably had this 15 years, 20 years maybe. But you can also get different sizes depending on what you're working on. And you can even get, like, this one here is, I think, Stanley. You can get this at Harbor Freight. A lot of the things that you get, you can go over to Harbor. If you have a Harbor Freight around, grab it. You can get a sander from Harbor Freight, which is really good, or you can, just get some sandpaper from Harbor Freight. You get your drill from Harbor Freight. You can get a drill press from Harbor Freight. A lot of things you can get. You can even get hole punches and things from Harbor Freight. They're not the best quality as far as some of their punches and leather things, but definitely go there and save yourself some money. Save yourself some money. I use needle nose pliers. You can get those. These are actually Dollar Tree, because they work great. And if I'm going to just get something really quick, then I'll do that. My other needle nose pliers, those kind of things you're going to need. I would say the other thing, depending on what your project is, rotary punch, an awl, a strap cutter will save you a ton of time, energy. Things will come out straighter, more professional, but you don't have to. You can use a ruler, and you can use a knife, a box knife. You definitely have to have a knife, whether it's a box knife, a head knife, or a rotary, not a rotary, round knife. Definitely want to do those. You got to have knives. Those are the biggest thing. Definitely want to. But this strap cutter is so useful. I do have a video on the strap cutter, but it makes my life so much easier, and it shows you how to change the blades. Very, very simple. Great tool to have, again, in your arsenal. Those are some general tools. I would say, along with your tools, to get yourself some leather and a stropping board and some jeweler's rouge. So that will give you, I don't have this on a stropping board, but I use it on my other wood piece. But this is jeweler's rouge here. stropping board. And basically what it is to sharpen your tools. Again, go back to this book here and it will show you how to sharpen all your tools. You'll find, I think Tandy or Weaver, they have a stropping board that it has several different slots for different things. You don't have to do that. Again, there's YouTube videos. There's that book that is great to show you how to sharpen your tools, and go from there. You might need some, it depends on what you're doing. You'll need some tracing paper of some type if you're doing a pattern onto something. Just get yourself some tracing paper. Let me see if I can do this. Just go to Hobby Lobby, get yourself some tracing paper. The other thing that you can use to make patterns out of, cardboard, cereal boxes, that kind of a thing, cardboard. That's what I use. Because I do production sometimes, manufacturing for, like I did 40 restaurant menu covers. And so I just used some cardboard because they had some pieces in there that they wanted. And in case they want to come back, I have a nice strong pattern. So you can do that. Just don't want a really thick one, because if you do have to fold it and score it, it's just harder to do with that. So tracing paper. Again, you want a sounding board or a cutting board of some kind. I have a huge, you can go to Joann's, Hobby Lobby. They've got the huge cutting boards. And I even use their round knife. This is great for if you're making fringe. Awesome for fringe. And it's really easy to do. You do need a ruler of some type. I have so many different kinds of rulers. So I have a big 40-inch ruler. I have a carpenter's ruler. I don't think it's here. You want a carpenter's ruler. That's the L-shaped ruler, or just a regular 12-inch. Make them metal. Make sure they're metal though, because if you're using plastic, you can actually, your knife can cut into that and then you're getting gouges out of that. Whereas the metal ones are really great. You can't gouge into them very easily. And if you do, you'll start sharpening, you're losing the sharpness on your knife. The other couple of things you might want to grab, because you're going to, anything that you're doing of a thickness of leather, say beyond a 3, and if you're layering leather, say you're making a wallet or something, you'll need to burnish it. So get yourself a burnisher. They're really cheap. I also sell those on my website. You're going to use that on your edges. You get some beeswax, or you can use water on your edges to shine those up, and then just do that. Okay. The other thing is that you'll want to get some type of skiver. This is a cheapo little skiver where you're going to skive the edges. Now, if you have a round knife or a French knife or a head knife, box cutter is a little hard to do it, but you can skive the edges to make them thinner so that they can fold better. So if you don't skive something, it'll be like butt to butt. So this is really great for, and also thinning out areas that you're going to fold and things of that nature. So those are some of the tools that, that you could actually use. I also use shears. These are leather shears, literally made for leather. They're heavy duty. I use these a lot, especially if I'm using this thinner veg tan, or if I'm doing that. You'll also use X-Acto knives, like the little tiny knives. Those are great for cutting out small areas, or you're making filigree, those kind of things there. Just some general little tools that you would want for your arsenal in any leather project. Now, if you're going to do stitching, you're going to have different array of threads. You're going to have a different array of needles. You got harness needles from little to all big, and you got to know what you're wanting to do. If you're going to get into wanting to carve and tool and stamp, those are different types of tools. If you want to get into airbrushing, that's a completely different thing that you could get into. With airbrushing, though, I would definitely suggest that you have a good respirator. You don't want to do that inside. And if you do, you should have a really good ventilation. Keep your window wide open. I know it's wintertime, but that could be really detrimental to your lungs and your health if you don't use a respirator. And definitely the company that you buy. I got my dog scratching at the door. She likes to be in my shop. The respirator, if you're not used to that, go on and Google that, and the company that you're buying your airbrush from. They'll tell you which ones to use. The N95s, I've seen people using those, but those definitely can still get some air in there. And some I see using the big respirators. I personally love my health and I want to live a long time, so I will take every precaution that I can. But again, you can look at and these like are stamping. If you want to stamp names into stuff, you can get these sets in different sizes, different types of lettering, that kind of a thing. When you're talking about dyes, I usually use the pro dyes that are from Febring. I always say it wrong, but those dyes, I use the alcohol-based dyes. It just dries quicker. It does dry out the leather a little bit more. However, you just condition it. And if you don't know what to do for conditioning, I'll talk about that next. But you got to know what kind of things. You can paint dyes, you can use acrylics, you can use all different kinds of dyes on that. Then that's another whole topic. And that's definitely a workshop because there's so much about dyes and stains and finishes and antiquing and all that kind of stuff. So that's another thing. So there's that. What like this dye, if you start working on this and you stamp it out and stuff and you want to finish it, or if you have a saddle or a piece of tack or a purse that is really old and hard and dried out. There's a ton of projects out there. And it's like, well, which one do I use? Because there's so many, right? Well, here's a couple. I don't know if I have. Yeah. So here's a couple that I use. Do you use soap? You can. You've got to be really careful because with soaps, you can leave some of that in there. I don't like to use soaps. I use a cleaner conditioner usually. Um, and if you're going to, oh please, Lord Jesus, if you're going to spray a saddle or a piece of leather down that is like this color or lighter, do not use a hose. If you do, you will get mineral deposits. It'll look like little spots all over your leather. And that's mineral deposits, and you cannot get them. You can't. It's like some mildews and molds. They'll bring me a saddle that is completely white with mold and mildew, and I can't get all of that out because it's skin. And what happens? That's sitting on there. It's cold. It's been wet. It's damp, and it soaks right in to the skin, the leather. The leather is skin, so it soaks in, and you just can't get it out. You can keep cleaning and cleaning and cleaning, and gradually the smell and stuff will go away a little bit, but there's still some deep in that leather. So, um, I use a lot of Be Natural products, and I'm not plugging for them. You can use whoever you want. This is just a company. This is Rudy's. This is just a conditioner and finish. I use a lot of Amore, Amore. That one is a top product that I love to use. And this Rudy's, it does kill the mold and mildew, but it doesn't get it out. Okay, so some of it you're just not going to get that out. But at Be Natural, I've met the owners. I've been through their plant. Really super good company. They do put lanolin in some of their products. I don't even see this on here anymore. But they did sell the company, or I don't think they sold it. Excuse me. It's in the family, but they're no longer. The original owners are no longer doing it. They're retired. Yay! I'm so happy for them. Paul and oh my gosh, it slipped my name. His wife, Paul and his wife. There's some, yeah. Anyway, the other one that I use a lot. Now, this one here is sort of like a gel. Okay, Amore is like a gel. Rudy's is like a gel. It's this thicker kind of consistency. It's like snot. It's that kind of consistency, but it's wonderful and soft on your products, on your leather products. This another one is Black Rock. Okay, this is more like a cream. And you're like, wow, that's such a small jar. You don't need much. Trust me, you don't need much. This company has been around since 1976. It is a USA family owned business that has grown. You couldn't get it there for quite a while because everybody wanted it and they're sold out. They were sold out for a long time. Really, really good. Now, this one does clean and it softens and it preserves it. And this one here, you just put a little dab on it. And either of these, when you put it on, leave it. So don't use a lot because otherwise it gets really super sticky. It is going to get a little sticky with either one, but you leave it. Just clean it, leave it overnight or at least half a day, and that's going to soak in and it's going to be done. And then you'll go back and you'll buff it. No matter what you put on your on your leather piece, could be a bag, could be shoes, could be whatever, then you're going to go back and buff it. And that takes off any extra residue, and it also may take off some extra dirt. So these are two that I use, but I use a lot of Be Natural and Black Rock. I do have others that I use, but I've always had good results with these. And if it's not broke, don't fix it, kind of a thing. All right. But those are some things that I just wanted to come on. I didn't know how this was going to go. Didn't know if there would be anybody or because it's still a very, very new channel. But I wanted to touch base with beginners and hey, I'm here for you. And if you want to have a comment, if you want to, ask a question, I am always going to answer unless I am on the other side. But I always am going to answer. If you want to learn some leather work, again, I've got a lot of videos on there, but I do teach. I do teach in person. I can teach online. However, you have to purchase the tools and the products that we're going to be doing. So, example, if we're going to do a belt, you will have to have an area where you can do that and buy the products that you would need for that. Or I can ship for the class, but you have to pay for the shipping. So I can teach online if needed, because I do have another channel that I do that with as well. As it, I do online stuff as well. So I just hope that this was helpful in some way. I hope that next time that other people will have questions and everything. But if there's anything again that I can do for you as a new leather artisan, intermediate or advanced, I would be so happy to help. And hopefully in 2024, we'll be in a brick and mortar and teaching large classes along with other things and helping other artisans become teachers and work in the brick and mortar as well with their craft and their specificity. Again, no leather artisan is the same at all, and there's no right or wrong way. So be kind to everybody, and if you're going to make a comment, be kind about the comment. Everybody's learning, everybody has their own way, but there's no room for snarkiness, not in my world. So be kind to everybody and walk in love and peace. And you know what? Maybe we'll all get along a little bit better. All right. I hope you enjoyed this. It is a little bit shorter than an hour, but I hope you enjoyed this. I hope something helped you. And if it did, please don't forget to like, share, subscribe down below here. I love to teach and help you guys grow. All right. Don't forget to walk in absolute truth, your authentic self.